Good evening. Happy mid-season 16 for Overwatch. This week we're going through a couple of Reddits like usual. We're going through r/Overwatch, r/competitive Overwatch, and r/University to top things off. Here we go. One of the most upvoted posts this week, Blizzard reused a Tracer highlight intro for the Kiriko Street Fighter 6 collab. If you've been living under a rock, Street Fighter 6 and Overwatch did a little skin collab. It's the biggest one yet because I think there's like 8 or 9 skins in the package. Unfortunately, there's no E-Honda and I'm an E-Honda player, so I'm a little sad about that. But you could definitely tell they were crunched for time. Kind of unacceptable for a skin collab to be reusing a highlight intro. So Kiriko for this one, I mean, that's going to be Jury using it where, you know, she's on a bike, and that's the exact same one as Tracer's over here for Synth Drift. And this one's been in the shop since like forever, right? And they just replaced the model on it. Probably because of the volume of skins. Not trying to make an excuse for them, trying to just kind of explain like why I think that happened is they were probably crunched for time. This thing takes a while. They couldn't design a highlight intro, so they just ended up reusing it. And that kind of sucks, especially because they like sell highlight intro as a separate thing. It feels like a free part of like the, like, you know, for like other skin collabs, they usually do like a little free event where if you like, you know, play enough games or win certain amounts for the week, you get something for free during it. I think like Avatar one, we had the Katara skin for free, but because this is sold, it just feels kind of shitty. You know what I mean? Just highlighting that. Clearly the community noticed that as well, with a lot of upvotes on this one. Next, how is this gonna help us win? Help me understand. Instantly banning the only heroes your teammates are favoring. We can see Mr. Dipstick. Hey, that's Junkrat player. So in this section, obviously, if you haven't played with hero bans yet, you hover the hero that you intend to play. So this person is obviously, there's a lot of like MS Paint arrows here, but he wants to play Junkrat, but then the teammate is like high priority banning Junkrat, but they're also clicking to ban or secondary ban Cass and Ana, but that's what the other two people are hovering and wanting to play. And then the person on the end is also trying to ban Junk and Cass. It seems like these two people are probably doing, and they're just here to just ruin people's nights. People genuinely, you know, waste their time trying to like make other people's lives miserable because they're just projecting. Sucks, but yes, it's not going to help you win. These people are just trolling. Next, bald soldier still combs his hair. Yes, that is the, well, again, for the Street Fighter collab, that is Guile, or as Flats would say, Guile, because he doesn't play Street Fighter. And he's like, Guile. I think in the Street Fighter community, we meme him and call him Gwilly sometimes, because he's just, you know, turtles so hard, and we just get annoyed and we meme the name, kind of like with Genji, we people say Gengu or Gengi. But anyways, the Guile skin, he obviously combs his ginormous freaking bush hair, and you know, it's a fixed animation, and it works on every single skin. And if he's bald, so be it. Still works. It's kind of like where I think the Farah skin had like the invisible help, the Halloween one where she had no helmet. Or not no helmet, no face, missing head and headless, and she takes off her helmet and reveals nothing. Similar idea to that, but this is pretty funny. I think J3 tweeted this exact highlight intro saying, J3 highlight intro came out because the meme with him is that he's balding, which is true, but you know, we love him. Next, a pretty short one, but Freja is obnoxious in Stadium. I recently went against a Freja that picked the power where she fires a mini ultimate every time she updrafts. So that's the Bolo one. She built full AP and cooldown, and our team couldn't even move. Honestly, I don't understand why they thought bringing the newest hero to Stadium was a good idea. I don't play much Freja or DPS. If you guys don't know, I'm like a support player for the last 8 years, but even I played some Freja in the last 2 days, and I've been wreaking havoc on her. I think I farmed like 100k or 99k cash in one of the games. I'm always just like, I don't know, full purple items by like around 5 or 6, and it's kind of crazy how much money she generates. I think she needs a nerf in like maybe her Stadium cash coefficient, so like the multiplier isn't as heavy. But I've actually not been running the Bolo build, and every time I play against a Freja, they've kind of been moving away from it. I think this was like the day 1 build, but because heroes like Diva, Zarya, and even Orisa exist, it's pretty hard to go full Bolo when your entire kit is based on that one cooldown every like 4 or 5 seconds. Like, it's still very viable to hit people in the back, but I found using the hybrid build with the take aim and then building Bolo later to be kind of annoying has been more successful for me as time goes on, and it's an adjustment period. So here's a little snippet from Blizz Dylan, who is one of the lead developers for Stadium. He was in my chat, and I was mentioning how I'm just destroying his Freja, and I was just curious, like, you know, I was just like, we might need to nerf her because like I was making her look OP and I don't even play DPS as a joke. And then he said, you know what's funny, KarQ, is that Freja has the lowest win rate, not normalized for any sort of ranks, but apparently she's sitting at 41% win rate. Now, granted, this is like the first day or two, so time will tell, but 41% win rate is pretty atrocious because we looked at the director's take for Stadium, I think a week or two ago, and they revealed the public win rates, and you could see like Ana had like, you know, the lowest win rate for supports, while a lot of other heroes may be sitting above 50%. I think Lucio was sitting pretty high. And then for the DPS heroes, it was like Soldier 76 being an outlier, but Freja being very low. hero is less of an indicator of how obnoxious she could be, but more of like, you know, the perception of them is very different depending on the rank you play. So 41%, of course, is just a general number, not normalized for, he didn't mention if it was console, didn't mention if it was like, you know, below a certain threshold or averaged out for everybody, but I assume it's averaged out and for all regions and all platforms. I think she's one of those high skill ceiling heroes that like your average player may not know how to build her, and she does require a lot of aim and finesse to get good value out of. And this reminds me of Sojourn a lot, because Sojourn has traditionally had like a 43% win rate in regular Overwatch across low ranks, but becomes obnoxious in high ranks. Same with heroes like Winston and Tracer. They always perform pretty poorly in low ranks because they're very hard to play heroes, high skill ceiling heroes. And the people who suffer from the obnoxiousness of high skill ceiling heroes are people probably above plat, diamond, or above. And that's when like people can really start like using their kit and using the movement of the dashes and doing lethal amounts of damage nonstop. So this may not be the perception of everybody, but 1.7k, a decent amount of people have felt how powerful she is, but I do think it's a little bit of a knowledge check. Build a little survivability and the Bola won't be as bad. I had a game where like I was popping off as Freya, and by round 6, the enemy team, everybody collectively decided to buy the thing that converts their HP to armor or HP to shields or whatever, and my value went down dramatically. The downside of building survivability is you can't farm as much money, but like it may be necessary in some matchups. But Bola built on the updraft with CDR, like it's every 6 seconds, but I think with take aim, you get so many take aims because you just aim in and then you dash, you get another take aim, which is why I actually like the weapon power version as well. More so than the pure Bola one, a little hybrid. But anyways, Freya is very good, in my opinion, as well. Another Freya piece here. Freya's movements are absurd, not overpowered, but unreadable. Freya is a great addition to Overwatch's heroes and has a high skill ceiling compared to the past heroes that have been released, but Freya's movement is absolutely unreadable. Usually with most to all heroes with movement abilities, it's sort of telegraphed which way they are going to use their escape cooldown. Of course, with the exception of Tracer, and this is my point, the amount of damage Freya does, not only as a tank buster, but high mobility flanker, is insane. The problem is you can't run anything but hit scan into Freya to kill her, or you just have to accept that you just can't kill her. Her mobility makes any projectile heroes unable to kill her because she can quick dash in any direction without the enemy having any indication of which way she might be moving. It's basically a Tracer blink in the air with the amount of damage she puts out. Even hit scans have a hard time dueling or killing her without support helping. That might be a skill issue, I don't know. I play hit scan Soldier, Sojourn, Cass, and the worst part about going against a Freya is the amount of distance I can't close to be in fall off damage range. Because the Freya is hugging walls and spamming arrows by the time I'm out of cover, she already rotates or takes another angle that I can't contest. Or the fact that I can't even hear she's behind me and I get ulted or scoped twice while not knowing she is there. I actually think you can replace this with Tracer and like it's the same thing. Tracer's movements are more absurd in my opinion, and she's more unreadable because she's faster and she recalls. Recall's a little bit more predictable and once you get there, but like a good Tracer managing her blinks is harder to deal with because her hitbox is also smaller as well. Like this is the same argument where it's like you can't play anything but like Brig or anything that's like, you know, with peel or stuns, or else like Tracer runs amok and dominates. I do think Freya's movement is pretty solid, but I actually agree with this part where it's not overpowered, but I actually disagree with it unreadable. I actually do think it's a little unreadable. You have to understand she's limited on, she's less blinks than Tracer, and it's sort of a fixed distance. This is not Stadium Freya, this is regular Freya. She does play pretty high into the air, so like, you know, you kind of have to like understand if she's stalling in the air, she is aiming down. So you can actually use that as a time to either shoot back or wait till the shot comes out and then make her burn that. I do think it's a little bit of a skill check. She's still a very new, relatively new hero to the roster. And if we look at the stats in the back end, like she does not actually, like I think people are just falling victim to like the highs of Freya, but don't realize like how easy it is to do nothing and do air on her, and they don't realize that like she's not winning more than losing. She's not like an outlier statistically. Now again, you have to balance based on anecdotal player experience and how the frustration against them, and also balance in way how she's actually performing statistically. And you have to kind of tweak her so maybe she doesn't perform as well in the high ranks, but maybe makes her a little bit easier for your average player. And that's kind of what they did for Sojourn for a while. They kept lowering the rail hit scan damage, but like buff the projectile because projectile is easier to hit for the average player. And she's kind of in a spot where like, you know, she's good, but not too obnoxious, but still really good in the right hands and like a little more acceptable for your average player. Now the problem that you can't run anything other but hit scan, like obviously she floats really high into the air, so like, you know, having like, because she plays so high, you're actually out of fall off range. I actually disagree. You can run other options besides hit scan into Freya. Obviously, like I get the counterpoint where it's like hit scan because, you know, she stalls in the air so you can shoot her back, but you absolutely can play other projectile heroes into her if she's flying. Believe it or not, I've seen a couple of Pharah players or Echo players wait until she stalls and they get hit by a direct rocket, and then she's kind of forced to fall down and fight in the sky. And every time she aims down sight, that hover is an easy opportunity to kill her. If you get in her face as a Pharah, as an Echo, those are some options. Even Hanzo can shoot a body shot onto her when she's chilling. Now, obviously playing Junkrat, maybe not so good, but I do think she's a lot more dealable than people give credit for. You just need a little bit more time to adjust. Since when is the title of this post. I follow patch notes like I read them, and I swear I have never seen this unless someone on the wiki is gaslighting me, but I feel like this is something you would remember. Ability details. This is from Moira. Coalescence healing has a misforgiveness behavior. If no allied heroes are hit, the beam's healing will be increased by 50% for a short duration, depending on how long it hasn't hit an ally for. This behavior does not affect the damage of Coalescence. Not hitting an ally means that no allied hero may be touching the beam in this time. For example, if a full HP ally is in the beam, they will still count as being hit by it, and the bonus will not apply when the beam starts healing, and hitting an enemy does not prevent this bonus from applying. I had no idea this was a thing. This is flared as humor, so I'm not sure if this is satire, and I do feel like this is something you'd remember. Like, I mythbust and test a lot of and know a lot of stuff about this game. I've never heard of this before, and if this is actually in the game, that is crazy to me, and that is like a good bit of knowledge. I'm gonna read the comments and see if anybody actually went and checked. Actually, the top comment is, this is why Overwatch needs to have proper hero informations in the game. It's bothered me. I agree. I've always mentioned to them, like, hey, I want to hit like F1 in the game and not only see like a basic page, but maybe a second toggle to see true details baked into the game, where, you know, I can see the exact damage number on this current patch, and because it's baked into the game, if they update the game values and the numbers, it gets displayed in there, so you know exactly how much damage Soldier is doing. And then in the training range, they just need to have damage numbers show up. I use a custom workshop mode in all my videos to see the damage numbers in there, but it'd be nice for the general population who doesn't like dive that deep to have damage numbers toggled, just to see cool stuff like this. Okay, somebody just went in here and said, I've tested in the workshop, it looks like it's true. It's doing 26 per tick when constantly on allies. When you miss an ally, it jumps between 33 and 38 per tick. That is actually crazy. Oh, somebody in here says, actually, that's me and a kind guy in the wiki that added it. I discovered it in the previous patch. Something even bigger, where the damage and heals were buffed by a lot if allies and enemies were touched at the same time. Up to 310 HP per second and something like 115 damage per second. Made a post about it. Seems like this behavior was always there, undocumented, but it seems like because of my snitch, they removed a part of it. What in the heck? Back to Stadium. The Stadium team is discussing Freja and other things like cast fan build. So again, Blizz Dylan was one I mentioned earlier with telling us that the Freja had a 41% win rate, but he tweeted out that, okay, so yeah, it seems like Freja can feel pretty overwhelming to deal with in Stadium. We're actively discussing what to look at to try and make her more manageable, while still rewarding high skill expression and mastery. We're also looking at stuff like Cassidy's fan the hammer build, etc. And then for more context, for us, I think Stadium is most successful when both the plus up versions of their normal kit and multiple more niche alternatives are viable. And we want to do more to facilitate that, so the mode retains fun and the good chaotic aspects while shedding the bad. Stay tuned. Thanks for giving us the update. So they are trying to look at what I mentioned earlier, where make her still rewarding for the high end, but like probably make her more manageable for your average player. There you go. Season 16 competitive drives. We get a sneak peek. This is probably data mined, right? Oh, damn, that looks pretty nice. I think it's the same as the previous purple one, but with a different color, the orange and yellow. I dig it. All right, let's move on to the Overwatch University. I saw this one and I thought this might be actually a pretty good tip piece. Tips and tricks under the Overwatch University from one fella. Debunking 5 common Overwatch myths, what they are, why they're wrong, and how to actually improve. This player went from gold to GM. Now let's look at myth number 1. Number 1, swap after losing one fight. One of the worst myths in the entire game is the idea that losing the first fight means you have to switch heroes. It usually comes from panic or teammates who instantly look for a scapegoat. Moira sucks, go Ana. You're feeding on Hog, go Ryan. Does that sound familiar? But here's the truth. Constantly swapping robs you of the chance to learn how to play into bad matchups, which in my opinion is one of the most important skills to have. Focus on playing 1 to 2 heroes and get insanely good at adapting on them, not away from them. If you die to a Cassidy while playing Echo or Pharah, ask if it was really the matchup that was the issue, or were you just flying with no cover. On top of that, every swap hurts your team's ultimate economy. If you keep swapping to counter instead of sticking with what you're good at, the enemy team will get their ults before you do, and you'll lose fights before they even start. It's a big snowball effect that you want to avoid entirely. I actually agree with like 99% of this. I will also say, to add some more, is that swapping after losing one fight does often come from one person looking for a scapegoat. I will also say swapping could be like a tactical strategy. If you're already good at like playing into them, but you just don't want to deal with XYZ, like swapping is perfectly viable. It's an option, and you know, I know you say it robs you of the matchup data, which is true, but sometimes like there's a time and place for it, and if like the swap immediately, especially first fight, it wouldn't hurt the economy too much because most ultimates aren't built too high at that point, and the swap tends to be more valuable than not. To add to this myth, there's also that like I'll swap after I ult is a common thing that people will say. It's like, okay, I know the pick isn't good and I want to swap, but like I'm 89 or 90% to ult. I want to use it because I think that's better value than swapping. That can be a trap as well because you'll find sometimes that you don't have the opportunity to. You end up staying alive and you end up losing and you're like, oh, I didn't ult this fight, but now I'm sitting on the ult. Okay, one more team fight. And then boom, you already burned 2 or 3 minutes. Sometimes swapping is the right play, but yeah, the default to swapping after the first lost fight is something to, you know, reconsider and figure out like if it was just, you know, you played that life poorly or like if the swap is necessary. But yeah, just adding a little more to this, but I do agree with most of it. Next, every ultimate needs to be a team wipe. This mindset is everywhere in the low ranks. People fish for the perfect high noon, 4-man barrage, and even when they try dying, or when they die trying. They keep doing it game after game. Our brain rewards these big dopamine hits, and I remember hitting that 4-man grab back in 27, and I've been chasing that high ever since. But if you want to win more games, you need to let go of the slot machine mentality. 1 or 2 kills with an ult consistently will win you more fights than a rare pop-off that happens once every 10 attempts. Watch high-level gameplay and you'll see solo ults all over the place, especially with risky ults like Death Blossom, Tire, Barrage. It's much better to secure value and survive than die going for the perfect clip. Learn the rule first, secure value, break it later when you've earned it. I like this one. I agree with this 100%. Overwatch is a game of resource trading and a game of numbers. If the ultimate can secure an advantage for your team in that way, maybe it's not the greatest value, right? Because you want to look for like 3 or 4 people in an ultimate, but like it's consistent value, and consistency over long periods of time, like hundreds and hundreds of games, will minimize that variance where you know, go for the risky 4-man, then you don't get any kills and you die, then you just lose, right? Getting the consistent value is good. Secure the value, break it later when you've earned it, and understand like when to like push and pull and optimize a little more. The myth is support should always pocket their tank. This one actually hurts to talk about because it's still so common. With only one tank in Overwatch 2, many supports think they need to keep their tank topped off 24/7 or the world will end. But healing a tank who's already behind cover and not in danger isn't impactful. Meanwhile, your DPS are losing duels and your Farah just exploded because you didn't look up. I know it feels good to shoot at the big hitbox, and I'm guilty of this in the past, but you can't win games with big healing numbers if you are neglecting half of your team every game. Smart support play means knowing who's actually in danger and where you can have the biggest impact. That might mean giving your Harmony Orb to Tracer for 3 seconds so she wins a duel, or focusing on helping your soldier who just needs a bit of help to win his duel. I'm not saying ignore your tank, but sometimes they really do need all your resources, but the game isn't about healing numbers, it's about winning fights. This is a great take. I actually like try to echo the sentiment a lot, especially as a support. When they see like when I play Ana, you can see like when I shoot like 3 people, my tank is at like 60% health, but it's a Reinhardt shielding and backing up. The shield acts as the cover, but then somebody else with like a Genji with 70% health, or my soldier who's actively fighting somebody, like I'll look away from the Rein and help them because they're in the active team fight. It's annoying when people, like I understand why people are afraid of doing this because they're scared of getting flamed by that person. Ana, why aren't you healing me? Pocket me, pocket me. I'm like, bitch. There's somebody else in the fight. You're fine right now because you're using either hopefully in cover or you have your big shield up. Like as a support, learning to prioritize the right target is a big part of the skill expression. You just have to ignore the noise and like do what feels right instead of just catering to that one person who demands all your resources, because that's not how you win. 4, the myth is it's the tank's job to move the payload. Okay, so tanks are frontliners. Their job is to create space so the rest of the team can operate freely. Sitting on the payload usually means they aren't doing that. The best cart pushers are heroes that can stay relevant from range like Ana, or someone who can rejoin the team quickly like Tracer. It makes way more sense than putting Orisa on the cart while everyone else dies without peel. It's actually a bit more nuanced than that, but this is a good general rule. But let's be honest though, if everyone in your lobby refuses to push the cart, you just have to suck it up or do it yourself. Yes, it sucks if you're on Echo or Junkrat and nobody's touching the cart, but SR doesn't care about what your character should be doing. If no one moves it, your team loses and you lose SR, so do what needs to be done. Also, this one I agree with 100%. This is a big one. I don't know why all these Reinhardts sit there on cart with shield up, and I'm like, bro, like actually like move up and take space. Let me as an Ana sit on the cart and I can heal you from a distance. It's not the tank's job to move the payload in general. It's a bit more nuanced, but it's a good general rule. It's true. So like, for example, people who can rejoin the fight, like Diva or even Winston can sit temporarily before he like jumps into thing, but Diva is an option depending on like the point. Maybe like Hollywood second, for example. She doesn't need to be high ground right away, but she can quickly fly up as soon as the fight breaks out. You can have a tank sit on it maybe briefly for like 5 seconds to help like add 3 people on the cart so it moves a little quicker to optimize a little more before they get into a better position and move up. But yes, generally speaking, this is a good rule. Last one, you can't climb in solo queue. This is my personal favorite myth to destroy. The best way to actually improve is playing solo queue. Why? Because it exposes every gap in your gameplay. You usually can't lean on voice comms or synergy. If you're bad at dueling flankers, no one's automatically peeling for you. If you don't understand tempo as a tank, no support is going to magically save you. Solo queue is honest, and that's what makes it so powerful. And more importantly, blaming teammates is just ego protection. The only constant in your lobbies is you. If you consistently outperform the average player in your rank and you put in enough games, you will climb. Some games will be unwinnable, sure, but most are not. And the more you focus on what you can do better, the faster you'll rank up. Video goes into more of this, so hey, shout outs to this video. I agree with this as well. Another, I guess, small point to add is the adaptation. Adapting to your teammates is a skill in itself. It's a solo queue skill. You may not need it as much to adapt to your teammates in like a ranked in a team environment where you kind of expect and know where each person is playing. You say blaming teammates is ego protection and like a lack of adaptability because they expect the person to be doing this. Expectation management mismatched with what is not aligning with what they think a teammate should do. For me, when I solo queue, I don't expect every like person on my team to be Overwatch League or OWCS pro person being in the right spot, taking the right angle every time. And yes, it can be tilting and frustrating when you hope that they can be in a spot where you expect them to, but they don't do it. But it happens, and like getting tilted by that is also a downfall of people not being able to climb in solo queue because they just have like very, very weak mentals. Expectation management. Just know that like things aren't going to be perfect and you can only focus on you and trust you will climb and be consistent on yourself because your teammates will be inconsistent because everybody plays a different game, a different play style. You know what I mean? Not every Winston I play with will have the same aggression. Some people will be more passive and it's up to you to learn to adapt. That's the skill. Adapt to be like, okay, well, this person plays more passive, so I'll play here instead. This person plays more aggressive, so I will push up more and take a better off angle. So on and so forth. So good post actually, and I do think this was insightful for a lot of players, so hopefully that was good. And I think that's it for this week's Reddit video. Thank you for listening, and peace.